Hey, welcome. Today, we're diving into a huge topic, natural disasters. Now, our source material has this long, detailed list, but don't worry. We're going to break it all down into a super simple framework so you can really get a handle on the powerful forces that shape our world. Let's get right into it. When you first think about it, these things seem totally different, right? An earthquake just feels nothing like a tornado. But, as you're about to see, there are these amazing principles that actually connect them all. And understanding that connection, well, that's the real key to being prepared. So get this. The list of possible disasters in our source is 20 items long. I know, that number can feel pretty intense, almost overwhelming. But the goal today isn't to have you memorize some giant list. It's all about spotting the patterns. We're going to make this way easier by grouping them into just a few key categories. All right, first up, let's look down. Let's talk about the forces that come from the ground itself. These are the disasters that happen when the very earth we're standing on suddenly becomes the threat. So here we've got three classic examples: the violent shaking of an earthquake, all that ash from a volcanic eruption, and the collapsing earth in a landslide. Now, even though their causes are different, I want you to notice the common theme in how to cope. The core advice is always about finding stable shelter or just getting out of the area entirely. It's all about getting away from that instability. Okay, let's move on to our next category. We're shifting our focus from the ground beneath our feet, and now we're looking up, to the sky. These are the disasters caused by our planet's atmosphere and its incredibly powerful weather systems. And this category really shows you the sheer range of threats from the atmosphere. I mean, on one hand, you have the unbelievable violent power of a tornado, where you've got to find a reinforced room, like now. And then you have the complete extremes of water, way too much in a flood, which means you have to get to higher ground, or a painful lack of it during a drought, forcing you to save every single drop. And this brings us to one of the most fascinating little details in our source material. What if I told you that 3 of the different disasters on that big list of 20 are, well, they're actually the exact same thing? Let's talk about those massive, swirling storms that form over our oceans. You have definitely heard of them, but depending on where you live, you might have heard them called by totally different names. Okay, so here's the big reveal. A hurricane, a typhoon, and a cyclone, they are all the same type of giant rotating storm. The only thing that changes is the name, and that name just depends on which ocean it happens to form in. So, a hurricane in the Atlantic is the exact same storm as a typhoon off the coast of Asia. Same storm, different name. Pretty cool, right? And to tie it all together with a neat little bow, scientists use one single unifying term for it: a tropical cyclone. That is the official scientific name for this phenomenon. So from now on, whenever you hear hurricane, typhoon, or cyclone, you'll know they're all just local names for a tropical cyclone. So we've looked at threats from the ground, threats from the sky. We've even untangled some confusing names. But does all this varied info lead to one single powerful takeaway? Can we actually find a universal rule for how to stay safe no matter what? The answer is a big, loud yes. Absolutely. Across almost every single disaster mentioned in our source, from wildfires to blizzards to tsunamis, all the how to cope advice boils down to one central idea: being prepared before it ever happens. And this is it. This is the whole game plan. These 3 steps are the universal theme. First, you've got to stay informed. Listen to those official alerts. Second, you need a plan for your family. Know your evacuation routes like the back of your hand. And third, build an emergency kit with all the essentials. This simple framework works whether you're facing a flood, a wildfire, or a hurricane. And ultimately, that's what this is really all about. You don't need to become an expert on all 20 types of disasters, but mastering these simple habits of preparedness, that can make all the difference in the world, no matter what nature decides to throw your way. So, this leaves us with one last thing to think about. We can learn and we can plan for the events we know might happen, but the real challenge is building a kind of resilience for the disasters we can't even predict yet. It's a big question. Are we truly ready for the unexpected?